Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal. This summer might be one of those very, very remarkable and most important summer transfer windows because Arsenal will break. According to reports, we will break our transfer record this summer on DECLAN Rice. Now, I don't have a problem with Arsenal outspending our rivals, with Arsenal spending all this amount of money, 70 million, 80 million, 90 million, or even hundreds of millions. But my problem is, who do you spend that money on? Why would you spend your record transfer budget on DECLAN Rice? We're going to be diving into that. Arsenal are also leading the race to sign DECLAN Rice, according to what I'm getting. We'll be talking about a £50 million deal that has actually skyrocketed as Arsenal try to sign a young Brazilian striker, 17 years of age, born in 2005, Vitor Roque. We'll be talking about that. Barcelona also interested in that deal, hence the price going up. Josko Gvardiol would be very happy to play in the Premier League. Arsenal, Chelsea still interested in the Croatian majestic centre-back, young but very, very promising. We'll be talking about Mahmoud Dahoud, who's going to be leaving Borussia Dortmund on a free. Arsenal were interested in him, I think, 3 years ago. I think he's still a quality player, but would Arsenal maybe, have a try? Would we have a go on Mahmoud Dahoud? And then Marcus Thuram is the second player in the German Bundesliga in 1 week to be confirmed that he will be leaving in the summer for free. So all that and more in this episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well, and let's have the honest conversation. Should we break our transfer record on DECLAN Rice? Yes, Nicola Pepe didn't work out, 70 million didn't work out, but should we break it on DECLAN Rice? If we refuse to pay 100 million euros to sign Mikhail Modric, who would have been a season changer, who would have been a game changer for Arsenal this season, should we then pay up to 80, 90 million pounds or even 100 million pounds for DECLAN Rice? Let me know in the comment box below. It's not about not liking the player because he's already world class, but should we? Right, for me, in that position, in defensive midfield, and for a player like DECLAN Rice, should we be spending that much? Let's get this video to 400 likes and let's get into the discussion as well. Now, first and foremost, yesterday I was looking around the internet and I knew I was going to find a DECLAN Rice story, and I thought it was going to be these usual stories. DECLAN Rice to Arsenal, is on, Arsenal want him and all that. But what I saw was quite very, very different. It looks like Arsenal are hell-bent on, breaking the bank, on breaking their own transfer record, on breaking our transfer record to land DECLAN Rice. Now, Mikel Arteta is a very, very big fan of DECLAN Rice. He's watched him for around 2-3 years, and he believes he must be the next defensive midfielder at Arsenal Football Club. Now, what I understand is that also Arsenal are leading the race to sign DECLAN Rice. We are not leading the damn race. No one is going to be competing with us for DECLAN Rice. Somebody make these people understand. And this is where I don't agree with all this hype that, Arsenal leading the race. They're trying to beef Arsenal. They're trying to beef up Arsenal so that we pay all this amount of money. And the English are going to go, oh, look, Grealish 100 million. Yet another English player going for 100 million, 105 million. The Premier League is the greatest, and DECLAN Rice is the biggest defensive midfielder in the world. It's absolute BS in my opinion. Absolute BS. So, look, there are two stories in here. One, Arsenal will smash their transfer record. That is absolutely naive. That is so naive. If we do that, it's going to make our life very, very difficult. For me, one, we do have UEFA Champions League football over Chelsea. Chelsea are also interested in Rice, but we have Champions League football. I think that gives us a cutting edge. Clubs like Chelsea, Man United, Manchester City, Liverpool, in the past, they've been signing our targets. They've been signing players off our noses, off our hands, because they have UCL. And now we're back in the UEFA Champions League. Look, it doesn't mean that you don't pay high prices for players. Madrid just signed Tchouaméni for 100 million. And I think that's where West Ham are at. They're going to go, if Aurelien Tchouaméni is 100 million to Real Madrid, Tchouaméni from Monaco, Tchouaméni from a league that is from the Farmers League. Sorry to say that, the French League 1. I really, really do like your league and I respect you so much, especially with what you've done with Florian Balogun. But there is no way, West Ham are going to agree to compromise their price now, okay? And I think Arsenal are making a huge mistake here by we are going all in on Declan Rice. It's a huge mistake. This is a deal that could even be done on the last day of the summer transfer window. And these are my reasons. One, Chelsea already have a couple of players. They have Enzo Fernandez in there, and even if they want to get a defensive midfielder, I don't think they need 100 million. I don't think they need 100 million to get a defensive midfielder to play with Enzo Fernandez in that midfield. So I don't see Chelsea go crazy. They've spent almost £500 million. I don't see them spending another £500 million in those stupid situations, especially if they can get a wise, good manager through the door. Okay, and secondly, defensive midfield is not a position where many clubs are going to spend hundreds of millions. Three, if non-Chelsea, who is going to spend 100 million or 80 million or 90 million on Declan Rice? If not Chelsea and Arsenal. Liverpool, come on. We all know they're not doing that. They're going to do a replica of what they did with Fabinho. If Fabinho cannot refine or regain his form, they will go maybe bring in Moises Caicedo, maybe do something, do a good deal around 50, 60 million pounds. Man United, they have the best defensive midfielder in the world in Casemiro, so they don't need a defensive midfielder at the moment. The rest of the clubs cannot afford him. Maybe, right? Listen, maybe Newcastle. And if Declan Rice was to go to Newcastle over Arsenal, I wouldn't really have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem at the moment. Go to Newcastle. But Arsenal going bold. It would be a statement signing, I understand. And I know many Arsenal fans want Declan Rice because he's a big Englishman. It would be a statement signing, and all that. And all that really buys into the picture very well. But how about spend 100 million on a left winger? How about spend 100 million on a central midfielder? How about spend 100 million somewhere else? There's so many other positions that we have to fill up. And for me, it's not Declan Rice is 100 million. I don't see him as worth, to be honest. Now, there is also propaganda that Arsenal are leading the rest to sign Declan Rice. This is absolute propaganda. This is the media trying to show Arsenal that, look, you're on top of the table. You have UCL, and you could get the best player England has produced in the last maybe 5 years. And this guy is not even the best player England have produced in the last 5 years. In my opinion, he's actually not. But it looks like Arsenal are going to fall for this trap. We are going to fall for this trap. And in the end, it's going to be West Ham laughing. It's going to be all these other media outlets laughing. And let me give you a prediction. He's going to come in at Arsenal for 80, 90 million pounds. And it's going to become another Harry Maguire. Because everybody's going to say, oh, he was never worth that amount. The moment he signs, the moment those stories, the moment those narratives, begin, he was never worth that amount. Arsenal bottled it. Arsenal, made a very wrong decision. So I don't know what you think. I would love to get your thoughts on that. Now, the next story is still on a defensive midfielder, and it is Martin Zubimendi, who has just confirmed that he would be loving to play in the Premier League next season. Now, of course, Martin Zubimendi is I just don't like this guy. I mean, I do love him as a player, but he refused to join Arsenal because he wants to stay in his comfort in Spain. And that mentality for me is enough to show that a player is not a winner. It's as simple as that. If he cannot compromise his comfort to come from Spain, come to a club that can potentially win the Premier League, come to a club that has already guaranteed him Champions League football next season, Arsenal are ready to trigger the release clause of this guy, Martin Zubimendi. But then he said, no, I want to stay here. I want to be comfortable. I don't want the pressure of the title. I don't want the pressure of, shifting here and there. And of course, you've got to respect players when they do those decisions. So Martin Zubimendi would love to play in the Premier League. It's a massive boost for us because maybe from now to the end of the season, we will have some sense. Go trigger Martin Zubimendi's contract, who I think is a far better player than Declan Rice, especially this season. Declan Rice is not at it this season at all. It's not Declan Rice alone. It's the entire West Ham team. They're not at it at all. Whether Declan Rice being their skipper, leaving and is he unbothered? Is he unconcerned? I'm not really sure. But Martin Zubimendi would be a far much better option. Now that we're going into the summer, it means Real Sociedad can even go into negotiations and let him go for around 55 million pounds. Very young. I think his passing is late. I think he's more like Sergio Busquets, and that's where Barcelona are interested in buying him. I think it would be a better buy than Declan Rice. Look, I'm really eager and desperate for us not to break our transfer record. But I want us to break our transfer record on a player that is worth it. I told you in January, Mikhailo Modric wasn't worth 100 million euros, and we shouldn't have even tried to break our transfer record. And then I told you right now, and I'm saying it, Declan Rice is not even worth 80 million pounds. If Arsenal do this, it's a risky move. It could work out. Don't get me wrong. It could work out. He might become that kind of guy that, be in that Arsenal midfield for the next 10 years, and everybody goes, oh, Cossy, you said Declan was never going to work out. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not saying he's not a class above the ordinary. All I'm saying is this is the English Premier at play, right? So the other stories that I would love us to talk through include a 17-year-old that Arsenal could sign for 50 million pounds, given the interest from FC Barcelona. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Now, of course, we will have to remember that there is, again, another 17-year-old or 18-year-old that was bought by Real Madrid in January for a fee in excess of 70 million pounds or 70 million euros. Look, I kind of don't, I don't wonder why Madrid and FC Barcelona always find themselves in financial difficulties. How do you buy a 17-year-old for 70 million? You have a shaky squad, you have an aging squad, and, look, this guy is not going to play football for Real Madrid. I think is it called, is it called what? Enzo, something like that? Endrick. I think it's called, Endrick or Endrick, something like that. Madrid are going to buy a right winger. Madrid are going to buy a center forward, right? Before Endrick comes around. Look, I think the likes of, Vinicius Jr. have done well, and credit to Real Madrid. And you look at the likes of Gavi, Pedri, and the youth systems that these clubs are actually using, they're actually paying off. But if Endrick doesn't hit the levels that, that the media have set and everybody has set for him, that is a massive loss. That is a huge, huge loss. But I don't want to dive into that. So Vitor Roque is one of those Brazilian talents that are cropping up. We are having so many talents from Brazil these days. Barcelona are willing to pay over 40 million, and Arsenal could be forced to pay above 50 million to sign him. Plays as a center forward. Now, what I've seen with the transfer market, it looks like Arsenal have the bigger chances to sign him, with our chances going up to 62%. The rest of the clubs that are interested are actually having a very, very low margin. Manchester United, 33% is actually rising. Paris Saint-Germain, 35%. Man United still 10%, which actually dropped. And then Arsenal now, with a 62%. So it looks like Arsenal would be the favorites, and then Barcelona would follow, and then Manchester United, and then PSG. But what I don't understand here with Edu is if he ever spends 30 million on this boy, 17-year-old, you spend 30 million, I won't understand his decision making. I will really not understand his decision making, because that 30 million would do a very great job for us, would have done a very great job for us in January to get our transfer targets through the window, right? So, look, I don't know, but I wouldn't be okay with Arsenal splashing 20, 30, 40, 50 million pounds on a 17-year-old Brazilian wonderkid. If it's 10 million, it is 14 million, because his market value, according to the transfer market website, is 15 million euros. I mean, that's quite fair. If he's a wonderkid that has blown out of proportion, that is okay. But 50 million I kind of feel like that's a waste. I really, really do. The other player is Josko Givardio. We'll have a deeper conversation about Josko Givardio. Arsenal do need a centre-back that is formidable, in my opinion. I've looked at that centre-back pairing between Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba. I wouldn't hesitate to break them apart and add a player like Josko Givardio to that back line. So it looks like Josko Givardio won't be joining Chelsea anymore because Benoit Badiashile eventually joined Chelsea in January from Monaco. So, but he says he wants to play in the Premier League. He says he's open to playing in the Premier League, and his agent is actually working on a move. In my opinion, he's one of the players that Arsenal should be looking at. We looked at him in the summer when we failed to get Lisandro Martinez, but the price was actually blown out of proportion, and that's why we walked away. Mahmoud Dawood is another player that I wanted us to talk about just slightly. Borussia Dortmund yesterday produced a statement confirming that Mahmoud Dawood will be a free agent in the summer. He will leave them, and they will not sign a new deal with them. Now, Dawood signed from Borussia Mönchengladbach, and by the time he signed for Dortmund, Arsenal were interested. I think we need cover in midfield. I think Jorginho will eventually leave. And then, of course, Mo Elneny will eventually leave as well this year or next year. How about a player like Mahmoud Dawood? He's free at the moment. You bring him in. You have enough cover for Partey. You have enough cover for whoever comes in defensive midfield. He can also play as a central midfielder as well. I like him. I really, really do. I hope Arsenal can look at that. And then lastly is Marcus Thuram, a big target for Arsenal. Borussia Mönchengladbach in the same week that Dortmund have confirmed that Dawood will be working for free. Gladbach have also confirmed that Marcus Thuram will be working for free as well. Now, the statement I've seen on Fabrizio Romano's Twitter says that the club understand there are far bigger clubs that want to sign Marcus Thuram than Borussia Mönchengladbach, and that's why they're going to leave him to go on a free. So if Arsenal want a striker, if you want to freshen things up, if you want a different kind of dimension up top, Marcus Thuram is the guy. Runs a lot, very physical, very clinical, and I think he's that kind of Ivan Toney guy. So if you get Ivan Toney, no need for Marcus Thuram. But if you cannot get Ivan Toney, then for me, Marcus Thuram would be a player that I'll be looking at. So that's it from me this morning. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Get involved in the comment section, and yeah, speak to you in a bit.